There's a pretty long list of things that we've quit over the last 15 years. Bye, girls. It was time to sell some ducks. I'm not gonna be raising pigs. We're gonna get rid of the goats.
So, I picked the wrong cow.
Until we have all the systems ready here, there won't be sheep. The best part of waking up is a dead bunny. Not clickbait. It's time to say goodbye to the camels. Sometimes people can look down on you when you quit something. I know for sure over the years, all the different things we've quit on our homestead, we've got a lot of negative comments about it. In this video, we're gonna talk about a history of all the different times we've quit something on our homestead, including an animal that we just quit recently. And we're gonna talk about why we think quitting is something that is really good and something you should do often on your homestead if you want to keep homesteading long term.
We're also gonna talk about one reason you should never quit. So point number one, when it would be good to quit something on your homestead, is if you just don't like the product. Rabbits.
And there is a nest full of little rabbits. Let's go take a peek.
Let's see the babies.
Getting big.
Can I see? I love the idea of rabbits. I liked them when our little boy was sick and I wanted a really low allergy meat. Rabbit was a great choice for us. I like how easy they are to butcher. I like that they eat grass. I like that they're so cute. The kids love to play with them. Having little baby rabbits running everywhere was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't like the
We
meat.
don't like rabbit.
I don't like eating rabbit
We
meat.
know. You're gonna send recipes in the comments. We don't like them.
I don't like it.
There is that one good rabbit recipe where you wrap it in bacon.
Don't say it.
You stuff it
Don't say
with
it.
sour
No,
cream,
don't.
and when
It's
you're
too
done,
cliche.
you throw out the rabbit and you eat
Yeah.
the bacon.
No, that is a recipe though. The rabbit's covered in bacon and sour cream, which, sure, but I can do the same thing to a chicken. I prefer chicken.
If you like rabbit, we're not saying don't do rabbit.
No.
People have, we know.
I would much rather do a batch of chickens for 8 weeks than keep rabbits in my barn year round. So we quit. For us, another example is Cooney pigs.
The new pigs are here. The new pigs are here. There they are. They're here.
Looks like they have a mustache. Yeah. Yeah, big.
Got them during the pandemic for our son to try. He was a little guy, they're a little pig, thought this would be a good way to get into breeding pigs. But in the end, they take longer than we'd like. I wasn't crazy about the product.
No.
I'd much rather do a commercial breeder for spring, summer, and fall and butcher it. I really like the product of that better. So, no more Coonies. And then there's always our semi-annual story about quitting goats. So our first goat, maybe third goat we haven't got, was a more dairy breed, so a Saanen. And I just did not like the flavor of her milk.
Yeah.
So we didn't keep her very long.
No, it just doesn't make sense. And that's the point. If you don't like the product.
It might work for 1,000 other people you know and they love it and they recommend it to you and you're like, I'm gonna try this. It sounds great. But if you don't like it, you don't want it, and you're gonna have to force yourself to utilize that product, there's no sense keeping it. Just quit.
Now, this can be something that is more homestead specific versus if you're like a farmer. If you're a farm that's raising a product to sell, you know, maybe you're raising GMO corn and you're turning into Coca-Cola and you don't even drink Coca-Cola, but it's how you make your living. That's a different thing. But as a homesteader, you're trying to first and foremost feed your family off your land. It doesn't make sense to spend time and energy on a product that you don't enjoy eating. Even as a farmer though, you may find that you want to get rid of one thing in order to have something else that you enjoy more.
Yeah, with this. So where's Big Rogo?
Now girls, remember last year when we built that structure?
No.
Yeah.
This is why we built that structure.
Now we don't have to do this.
Oh, yeah.
One of my biggest inspirations coming into owning cows even was a hay/dairy farmer in Connecticut. He was a dairy guy, so he grew up on a Holstein farm, started into Holsteins as an adult, had a whole herd of Holsteins he was milking. He then decided to switch to Jerseys. He was going to do some raw milk. Switched to Jerseys, sold all the Holsteins, switched to Jerseys, decided probably within a year he hated Jerseys. They were too temperamental for him compared to the Holsteins. Sold the Jerseys, bought another herd of Holsteins. So it's like, if you can sell entire herds of cows to fit into your life and to find the livestock that works best for you, you know what? I can get a new breed of goat. I can get a new breed of cow. I can try a different sheep. It's okay to quit things.
So in addition to not liking the product, you may find, like our farmer friend, you also don't like working with animal or the plant
or the breed, yeah.
You know, whatever the thing is itself, the breed, right? You might not like working with Jersey cows because they're too much divas. Can't imagine that, but. Second good reason to quit things.
It could just be really cost prohibitive for your homestead.
There are some animals that cost more money to work with than other animals. And if you can bankroll working with them, you can make them profitable and you can make them work. But if you can't, then it's a great reason to quit that animal. And the biggest one for us, probably the most notable one that we've quit over the years, camels. It's time to address the elephant in the room.
That's no better
Get
than
it?
what I was saying.
It's a camel. It's like the closest thing to an elephant that you could have on a farm. Why do we get elephants?
They were a great thing for us to try in our homestead. It was the pandemic, we had a sick baby. Camel milk seemed like a really good option for him in a world where the supply chain, we were all kind of freaked out about it.
Yeah.
So getting a camel cow to give us milk every day for him seemed like a really good option. We were able to work it into our farm easily.
Do camels ever just like easily segue into a like... And then we got some sheep and then a couple camels.
We were able to work it into our business even easily because a lot of people were excited to see the videos of it.
Our big emergency for the camels, the reason that we needed them, faded.
The camel, especially the cow, just kept getting more and more expensive. We bought her, she was bred, but she wasn't. She doesn't have a round belly that we would necessarily expect to see in a pregnant camel. We're pretty inexperienced with this though. We don't see her flagging her tail or lifting it up like she would if she were bred. Like I said, this is our first camel we're trying to get bred. Pretty inexperienced. And we tried several times to send her to a camel bull to get her bred, but she never took. For us and Millie and the setup we have on our farm, it's just not working to get her bred and to keep a pregnancy. Which means we are making a hard decision now.
Having someone transport her was expensive.
Veterinary camel experts in other countries we were consulting with was adding up.
To have her bred was expensive.
Special minerals we got her on to improve reproductivity was adding up.
Care for her while that was happening was adding up.
Every 3 weeks, some fecal testing, worming. So that's adding up. Getting the vet in to check her blood levels for all of these hormones. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars adding up.
At some point, we weren't getting milk from her anymore, and it was just draining our finances on the farm.
Now this is one of those examples, depending on where you live, this may be different. If you're in Australia, they're a varmint. They shoot camels just to get rid of them because there's too many running around. You can get some camels for cheap. In Australia, there's vets who are very familiar with camels and turning them into a dairy operation. There's trainers. All the expenses that were really hard where we live, not in Australia. So that might be a great animal, but where we work, they were very expensive. So that's one of those reasons why, for us, we decided, you know what, we're gonna quit the camel. It didn't make sense anymore. Now you can...
That sounds like a 90s stop smoking commercial. Quit the camels. Now in this country, North America, you probably aren't like racked with the indecision of whether to keep your camel or not. But maybe there's a dairy cow you have who just goes through grain like crazy. It's really hard to keep condition on her. You don't need the amount of milk she produces, so just pouring all this grain into her is getting really expensive for you. Quit the cow. Get a half beef cross. Get a smaller dairy cow who keeps better condition. Find something that works better for you on your homestead where you aren't just shelling out the money to keep this animal alive on your homestead, but it's starting to stress you out the cost of everything. They could be sick. They could be just unthrifty. Too much needs to go into them. They're like wrecking all your fences, destroying your infrastructure. It's like we've been through all of this.
People right now are listening to this and have an animal in mind.
Yes.
Right? They're like, oh, yep, amen.
Yeah. Did you quit them yet? Because maybe you need to. Bring some peace back into your life. Stop losing money on that animal. Just quit.
And also comment below, tell us about the animal that came to mind. Of course, we could add goats to that, reasons we quit. The last time we had dairy goats, we found the fecal work we were doing to be pretty cost prohibitive, so we decided to end our dairy goat operation for good with that. So ignore the goats that are running around the property here, out and about.
Quit it. Come on, hop up. Go.
And we did quit them again.
They're supposed to be in. So, not in here.
The third reason are we on?
Get them out of the pole barn. Get them out of the pole barn.
Goats. She's talking about goats that are back on our homestead, not where they belong. We can quit them. They always come back.
Any day we want.
Third reason why you should quit something, it's a bad fit for your homestead.
And that's referring to the actual physical property you have. So
Property, climate, where you are, bad fit.
If you've got goats, if you've got goats and a half acre of just grass, they're not gonna do great there. It's gonna get really filled with parasites quickly. You'll have issues.
For a small acreage with just a little bit of pasture, like our old homestead in Connecticut. Behind me here you see our chicken setup. We have 2 chicken tractors, 1, 2. We have a big bunch of poultry netting around the outside of this pasture here, and a divider down the middle. We really focused on meat chickens, egg-laying chickens, and pigs. They're the piggies. Hey, piggy, piggy, piggies. Hey, piggy, piggies. Hey, piggy, piggy. Oh, hey, piggy. Because those 3 animals don't really need or benefit as much from a lot of pasture when compared to ruminants.
Now something we've quit on this, I can quit any day I want. On this current homestead that we tried and looked really good on paper at first. Ooh. We knew neighbors that had them who were very successful with them and loved them. The product's great. We knew we would enjoy the product, but they just didn't work on our homestead and our property. We're Highland cattle. They're here, unloaded. Not where we wanted to unload them, but it's secure. Highland cattle were our step into the beef production world, and I love them. I love the way they look.
Oh yeah, they're so cool looking.
The beef's delicious.
So delicious. The beef that we got from our Highland cattle was fantastic.
But on our property, with the large fields we have with 0 shade, they really suffered in the increasingly humid and hot weather we've been having here in PA.
Me too. I'm right there with the Highlands. I'm increasingly suffering.
So I quit you?
Oh. And this is very localized. We had a mentor in Highland cattle who we talked a lot with and visited his farm. He lives in the same state, in the same climate, but his farm has streams, a pond,
fenced in woods,
fenced in wood lines and trees and just areas where he can move his Highlands. We don't have it. It's so different here. So you may think there's an animal that's a good fit for your homestead, but in time you may find that specific homestead, that piece of ground, is just a bad fit. Oh,
hello.
Hi. Cow kiss through the bars.
I was even thinking about the infrastructure that you currently have set up on your property. Like we've got high tensile fencing. If we wanted to run like a real intense lamb operation, we'd have to replace all that fencing with woven wire because the lambs just don't respect it at all. They get out all the time. So yeah, our literal property wouldn't work really well for that kind of operation.
Yeah, that's a great point. The infrastructure can be part of that. And you may move to a homestead and there might be some infrastructure there that is good for one animal but not another. We moved here and this barn was already built for horses. So it actually worked really good for cows. Not perfect. There's no like dairy parlor, but we were able to convert it. Whereas it's not a very good setup for like raising pigs inside because of the way the water lines are run and the drainage. We don't like keeping pigs in this barn. We don't like using the barn for pigs. So even your infrastructure can dictate whether or not an animal is a good fit. You can change the infrastructure. You can't really change. You know, you can plant trees and eventually have some shade trees. Things can be changed, but sometimes it's better to just change the animal, quit what you're doing, and try something that works better. Now, another reason that you might consider quitting on your homestead is because you have a YouTube channel and you want your video to go viral. It's a thing. Certain seasons of life. Seasons of life.
Yes, which can be temporary.
Seasons of life.
But you may quit things because it's just bad timing for your life currently.
You could probably go back through our big quits, and while maybe we quit because of expense or a bad fit, it also probably aligned with times in our life when we just needed to have less to care for.
Babies, sickness, sick babies.
Yeah, usually
financial stress in other ways.
These have a tendency to pile up. So you find you're having a tough time in life managing everything, and then you look and see, well, I got to get rid of something, and that's expensive.
You can't handle the goats getting out.
Yeah.
You can't throw any more money at their fencing. Yeah, so this is just bad timing for your life. I have started cheese making and stopped cheese making. I have started milking a cow and stopped milking a cow and just let her calf drink all the milk. I do this more than you, I think, because my seasons are more physically draining.
Meat birds.
Yeah.
We did not do any meat birds this year, and that was a very specific choice. Now, we haven't quit them for good. You'll see meat birds back here again, but we decided we could only do so many things, and we had a lot of other things. So yeah, I didn't do meat birds this year.
These things are more temporary quitting. I have all the stuff for cheese making still. I didn't sell it all. I have all this stuff for milking. I hadn't milked for the past 6 months. I have it all still, and I just started it up again. But it could be a 6 month, a year long, 2 years of a quitting that you need to take to kind of just regain some sanity in the rest of your life without the pressure of, I have to make this cheese, but then I have to wash all the dishes, and then I have to go milk that cow again to make more cheese. Like, why put that kind of pressure on yourself? We just bought cheese at the store. Everybody likes it better anyways.
That's the truth. Any of these quits that you do, imagine that you have a farm like what you see here, ours. So we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paddocks. We only have so many paddocks down here at the barn. So imagine every time you say no to one animal, you open up a paddock for something else. So if you say, you know what, I'm gonna quit the goats, well, now you have an open paddock to try sheep. Or now you have an open paddock to just let it rest for a year and give it a break, and maybe next season put something in that paddock. Your life has so many paddocks. You might have more paddocks than me, you might have a little less. When you overfill your paddocks, that's when things get really bad. So just remember, you might quit something, but it just means you can say yes to something else in the future.
I literally just did that because I had a calf. We were weaning Firefly, that little calf we had in that back paddock. Maybe with a nicer wire. I was planning on keeping her, which would make everything a little more difficult because her daddy's here. I didn't want him to breed her. So we decided I just gotta sell her. I had another cow getting ready to calf.
So Firefly is getting ready to head off to her future farm. She is a fantastic little heifer. She's beautiful. She's very friendly. She's become a very friendly little cow. And we were really thinking about keeping her for a long time because she's just from great genetics. She's beautiful. We'd love to see what kind of milk cow she becomes. But it's a little tricky juggling the sire. It's a lot of juggling. We figured, you know what? We love our bull. We're better off letting her go to a new farm and start a whole new line from the Homesteady mini Jersey line. So she's getting picked up today. She's going to head off to a brand new Homestead. We do get asked from time to time if we have heifers for sale. We usually don't. Usually in a good season, we'll have like 1 or 2 heifers, and we have a tendency to keep them because they're such good quality animals, and we are trying to slowly grow our herd or maintain our herd size. But once in a blue moon, we do decide to part with one of these girls. And if you would be interested in getting a Homesteady heifer, they go really fast, so we have an email list. Get on that email list. I put out 1 email, and they're usually sold with 1 email.
And so selling her meant, first of all, we could buy hay for this year, which has been a terrible drought, so we'll need to buy more hay. And then I have a paddock ready for this cow when she calves, so I don't have to keep her inside. So when I'm ready to have a baby, I don't have to be mucking out the stall twice a day. She can be outside with him when the weather's nice. So it's just freed up paddocks in my life so I can move stuff around and make everything a little easier for this season in my life right now. What? Fencing. Fencing.
Yeah, fencing. That's another reason to quit.
The F word of farming.
The other reason to quit homesteading is fencing. Oh, fencing. I've been like annoyed by a fencing problem in every video we've put out in like the last 3 videos.
I know. The last point, there's moments in your life that cause you to quit temporarily, and then there's the whole landscape of your life might shift. A mate might die. Your parents might be sick. You have to move to take care of them. You may have a child and just not be able to. Maybe your mate wants to travel, and so the homestead dream has to stop for a long time.
Financial crisis.
A financial crisis.
Financial crisis. You might think like, you know, crisis is the reason why I homestead, right? I homestead so that I can feed myself even if times get tough and somebody in my family gets sick, well, we still have food. There are times where homesteading won't make up for that. You won't be able to raise enough food.
You have to go back to work. Especially after the pandemic, we saw teachers exiting the field of teaching, or medical professionals who weren't working as doctors anymore, perhaps taking a big loss on what they put into their education. And they took this loss to make this huge life change, could be just for their mental health in the world that we're living in. Maybe for your mental health, you need to stop homesteading. It's not working for you right now. That's okay. It's a good reason to quit.
Yeah, 10 years of doing homesteading, we've never interviewed anybody who like just lives on their homestead and doesn't have to worry about anything else. So if the other strings that are being pulled in your life, providing for your family, providing for your health, your mental health, your physical health, you might need to take a break. And that's okay because it doesn't mean you're done for good.
Yeah, none of this is a complete loss. Any of these reasons we said to quit, for any of these reasons, it's not a complete loss. And that's what always makes me feel better when I make a change in my life. I've had brain surgery, almost 7 children now. I'm dealing with a neurological issue right now that in a few years will have to be corrected with surgery. The landscape of my life has shifted and I've had to quit things. But all the knowledge I've acquired from all these things I've tried, the experience, the insight that it gives me into so many aspects of homesteading and into me as a person, that is all still here. I get to hold on to that no matter what happens.
You have to think about it like the way it happens with plants, right? A tree, as it grows and it produces fruit and it gets big, it produces a lot of fruit.
I'm gonna watch out for spikes.
In every piece of fruit, you'll find a little seed. And you can take that seed and photobomb that seed. You can take that seed and you can take that seed and you could put it in like a Mylar package. You see these seed kits you can buy online, emergency seed kits, and you can keep it in that package for years and years and years, and then you can take that seed out and you can plant it, and just like that you have an apple tree again. All the data, all the knowledge, all the information that's needed to grow another huge, awesome producing apple tree is in that little seed. You are that seed. Over the years, you have gathered all this information and these skills, and maybe you gotta go dormant like a seed in the dirt, and you gotta sit there and wait. And a seed in the dirt, if the dirt is covered by a bunch of other stuff, plants, debris, whatever, that seed's gotta lie dormant for a long time. But eventually the surface gets cleared, some sunlight hits, and when the sunlight shines on you again, and you're ready to jump back in and start homesteading, like that little seed, you'll be able to grow big again and produce all kinds of fruit.
You need to plant an apple tree.
All kinds of seeds, all kinds of life.
Apple. How do you say apple?
It was a caterpillar.
Apple.
But I didn't eat it.
Here, see the ones with the little red on them. Yeah, you can eat it.
Okay, this is good.
Now this is one reason to never quit homesteading.
What is it?
One bad day, one bad moment, one bad milking, one bad calving.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
One bad day fencing. Say you're gonna quit, because that feels good. It feels good to say after she kicks the bucket over the milk and you just ran out in the house and you really needed that bucket of milk. It's so nice to like maybe throw the bucket and say, I quit, I'm never doing this again. Don't quit that day.
Yeah. We have found at the end of a long, hard season, this time of year, you know, you can get frustrated.
Why
And
this time of year? This is what I didn't know.
always at the end, August, September.
Oh, that's because it's deer season for you. and you're
No,
tired of
no.
homesteading. No,
Harvest, this is the most busy time. You're at the end of a long, hot summer. We have quit significantly more in October, September.
I think it's deer season for him. It's not for me.
Anyway.
For me, it's the moments of frustration, dealing with a goat again that I can't milk, or something bad happens, like bad death that we could have prevented and we should have known better, but we didn't. And we're so frustrated with ourselves in that moment. Don't quit then. Don't make that knee-jerk reaction quitting.
Don't quit on that bad day. Take some time, cool off, think about it. Bad days happen. Declare bankruptcy, but don't actually do it. Now that's our advice about quitting. We asked you in the Homesteady community to share some advice and some stories from your experience. And we actually got some really good comments about quitting. Little Key One talked about how sometimes we have to quit an ideal or a method that we've married ourselves to. In their example, it was free-ranging chickens. They said, as a newbie chicken owner, I let myself be convinced this was the only ethical way to raise birds, and if they ended up dead, it meant I was doing it wrong. This resulted in a lot of sadness. I've never got it to work in my northern climate. It's good to experiment, but eventually you just have to produce a yield. Yes, sometimes we have ideals or standards that we're trying to hold ourselves to, and it's a good idea to quit those in order to move forward and do better. Another area that you may have to consider quitting that we didn't talk about, Jacob Farnsworth talked about. Quitting partners, people who we've decided to build a homestead with. Sometimes we realize that we need to quit this partnership. He said, I quit trying to build a homestead with people who struggle to take it seriously. They started with some family members, but ultimately it degraded into their garden and our coop. It was all so unnecessary. He says, make sure everyone's in it for the same reasons. If you've partnered up with someone who's just dragging you down, it might be good to consider quitting on that homestead co-op. PNW Farm Story actually recently did a video on this topic.
We started with geese and ducks. They're extremely loud. You find one that works for your family. It goes from being a stressful headache to something that brings you joy and ease.
I thought that was a great question. What is your headache animal? They actually quit a few different animals for a few different reasons. You will definitely enjoy their video back at their YouTube channel. I'll link to it and everyone else who contributed to this segment who has a YouTube channel in the description below. So after watching this video, if you thought, I know exactly what animal I have to quit and get rid of, maybe that means you have a paddock open for a new animal on your homestead. Watch this video to figure out what is the best livestock for you to bring onto your homestead next. It's the best and worst livestock ranked, not just by us, but by hundreds of other homesteads. Find which animal is better than the one that you're about to quit, and let us know in the comments below which animal you think it's time to quit.